You know that specific moment in a conversation?
Mhm.
It's usually late, the lights might be a little low,
Right.
the music is stopped or just faded into the background, and all the joking around, the loud stories, the clinking of glasses, they all just evaporate.
They completely vanish.
Yeah. And suddenly, you aren't just chatting anymore, you're hovering on the edge of something much more real.
The source material we have today actually calls this the 2 a.m. conversation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And even if it happens at, 9 p.m., it still has that exact 2 a.m. energy.
It's a threshold.
It is. It's that threshold where banter shifts into intimacy. But here is the thing, and really the whole reason we are doing this deep dive today. Most of us, especially when we are nervous or trying to connect, we ruin this moment.
Oh, we completely destroy it.
We really do. We talk ourselves right out of the connection.
We panic.
We panic and we try to be helpful. So today's deep dive is based on a really fascinating guide from Midnight English, specifically episode 8. And it essentially creates a roadmap for this exact scenario. It's all about deep talk, intimacy, and this concept they call high-value vulnerability.
And what sets this particular guide apart, I think, is that it moves way beyond the vague advice we usually get.
Right.
The typical just be yourself or be open. This source actually breaks down the verbal formula.
The actual chunks of language.
Yes, the specific chunks and the psychological strategies to navigate those deep waters. It argues that the biggest mistake we make is defaulting to the role of a fixer when we should really be an anchor.
And that distinction is the core of today's discussion. We're going to unpack the whole roadmap: emotional anchoring, high-value vulnerability, and the intimacy command.
It's quite a journey.
It is. But before we get to the specific phrases, I want to challenge this idea of the fixer trap because, frankly, trying to fix things is usually seen as a positive trait, right?
Sure.
If I have a problem, I want a solution. So why does the source call that a trap?
Well, it is positive in a boardroom. It's highly positive in a crisis management meeting. But in emotional intimacy, it's fatal.
Fatal.
Absolutely. Picture this. You are with someone, the vibe is good, and then they start venting. Maybe it's a terrible day at work, or maybe a fear they have.
The energy drops.
Exactly. And your brain, especially if you are an analytical person, immediately goes into problem-solving mode. You hear a problem, you want to provide a solution.
Right. You say, well, you should do this, or have you tried X, Y, or Z?
And it feels logical.
It feels like you're contributing value to the conversation. You're being useful.
It is logical, but it's emotionally tone-deaf. When someone is in that vulnerable state, venting about a frustration, they aren't looking for a consultant.
No.
They aren't looking for a strategy. They're looking to be heard. The moment you offer a solution, you are emotionally leaving their side and standing opposite them, judging the problem.
Oh, wow. So by trying to solve it, you're actually stepping out of the emotional bubble and becoming a project manager.
Precisely.
You're changing the genre of the conversation from a drama to an instruction manual.
That is a great way to put it. And that kills the mood instantly. It shuts down the vulnerability because now they feel like they're being graded or fixed.
Why?
The Midnight English Guide argues that instead of fixing, we need to anchor.
Anchor. That implies stability. Dealing with the waves rather than trying to stop the wind.
It's all about validation and absolute loyalty. And this brings us to our first phrase, or chunk, from the guide.
Okay, let's get into the phrases.
This one is designed for those moments when a partner is venting about a person, like a nemesis, a boss, a rude coworker. The phrase is, whose tires are we slashing?
Whose tires are we slashing? Okay, played straight? That sounds a bit unhinged. If I said that on a first date, I might get a restraining order.
Well, context is everything here. You don't say this with a completely straight face while holding a steak knife.
I would hope not.
You say it playfully. It's dark humor. It utilizes very specific psychological mechanism.
Right, it's obviously a criminal act, so it's hyperbole.
Exactly. You are not actually suggesting you go out and destroy property. But think about the psychological signal. If someone is complaining about their boss, and you say, well, maybe he's just under a lot of pressure.
Oh, I hate that. What are you doing?
You're playing devil's advocate, you're rationalizing the enemy.
And effectively siding with the enemy.
Yes, you are being reasonable. But when you ask, whose tires are we slashing, you are signaling, I am on your team and I am ready to go to war for you.
That's powerful.
It breaks the tension with laughter, which is crucial. But underneath the joke is a very serious message. It is us against the world.
It completely bypasses that fixer urge to be reasonable. It tells them they don't have to be reasonable right now. They can just be angry.
It builds trust. It validates their anger without requiring them to justify it. It says, I don't need the facts, I have your back.
Okay, so that's for the angry, venting moments where you can use humor. But what about when it's sadder?
That's different.
Right, or heavier. If someone opens up about a deep insecurity, asking to slash tires might feel really dismissive or insensitive.
You're completely right. If the energy is somber, humor is a huge risk. That is where we shift gears. If the problem is complex or deeply emotional, we need a softer anchor.
Makes sense.
The guide gives us key chunk number 2. I'm on your side.
I'm on your side. I mean, it sounds almost too simple to be a technique.
Simple, yes. But think about how rarely we actually hear it explicitly. Usually people say things like, don't worry, or it'll be okay.
Or the absolute worst one, don't be sad.
Yes. The hallmark of toxic positivity.
It really is. It's basically a command to stop feeling what you're feeling because it's making me uncomfortable.
Exactly. It's selfish. I'm on your side is the exact opposite. You say this softly, maybe when they are looking at you expecting judgment.
Or expecting you to try and cheer them up.
Right. You strip away the banter, you strip away the performance, you look them in the eye and say, I'm on your side.
It creates a container for the emotion.
It creates an immediate safe space. It tells the listener, you don't have to face this alone. And more importantly, as you mentioned earlier, you don't have to entertain me right now.
That is such a huge relief in a conversation. The pressure to be fun or witty on a date or in a new friendship is exhausting. This phrase grants permission to drop the mask.
It shifts the dynamic from entertaining acquaintance to partner. It's an act of service, really.
Okay, so phase 1 is about anchoring. Either with the ride-or-die humor of slashing tires or the quiet safety of being on their side.
Which stops us from ruining the moment by trying to fix it.
Exactly. Now let's move to phase 2. The guide calls this high-value vulnerability.
This is a tricky balance to strike, and the source spends a lot of time defining what this actually means.
Because vulnerability is a massive buzzword right now. We're constantly told to be vulnerable. But let's be honest. Nobody wants to listen to someone just complain for 3 hours in a second date.
No.
There's a line where it becomes unattractive.
Definitely. The source identifies 2 extremes to avoid. Extreme A is what they call trauma dumping. Oh, yeah.
That's where you share your darkest secrets, your childhood trauma, and your deepest fears immediately, usually to force a sense of connection.
It feels unearned. It's totally overwhelming for the listener. It just feels desperate.
Correct. It places a massive burden on the other person to fix you. But then there is extreme B, perfectionism.
Right.
This is where you hide all your flaws, you try to look like you have it all completely together. The problem is, perfection is boring. And it's intimidating.
It really is. If you're perfect, I can't relax. I'm constantly checking my own behavior to match yours. It feels like a job interview.
Exactly. So the solution the guide offers is confident imperfection. It's about owning a small flaw without asking for pity.
And there is a specific transition phrase for this, right?
Yes. Key chunk number 3.
Yeah.
It sets this up beautifully. The phrase is, I have a confession.
I have a confession. It's very dramatic. It sounds like a line from a movie. It works as a hook. Think about the pacing here. If we are just chatting about movies or travel, and suddenly I pause, lower my voice, and say, I have a confession, what happens to your attention?
I lean in immediately. The stakes just went way up. I want to know the secret.
It creates instant tension. It signals that we are going from surface talk to deep talk. But the key is what comes next.
Right.
You don't follow, I have a confession with a major red flag like, I killed a man in 1999.
Please don't do that. That's a completely different kind of true crime deep dive.
Right. You follow it with a small, relatable flaw, maybe about being stubborn or being terrible at mornings or getting jealous easily. And then, and this is the crucial part, you hit them with key chunk number 4, I'm a work in progress.
I'm a work in progress.
Yeah.
I really like that. It completely reframes the flaw.
It acts as a high-value disclaimer. Let's say you admit to being a bit messy. If you just say, yeah, I'm messy, it sounds like you don't care.
It sounds like take it or leave it.
Exactly. But if you say, I can be a bit chaotic with my space, I have a confession, I'm messy, but I'm a work in progress.
It shows self-awareness. It says, I see this thing about myself and I am actively handling it.
High-value people own their flaws. Low-value people hide them or blame others. It shows you aren't making excuses. You know you have a flaw and you are trying to improve. That is highly attractive.
It also invites the other person to be a work in progress too. It levels the playing field so they don't feel like they have to be perfect either.
Precisely. It signals growth. You aren't a finished product, but you aren't a disaster either. You're evolving.
Okay, so we've anchored them and we've shared our own confident imperfection. Now we move to phase 3. The guide calls this the intimacy command.
Yes.
And this addresses something I think I am definitely guilty of, interrupting with my own stories.
We all are. It's the Me Too reflex.
Yeah.
Someone tells a story about a terrible vacation and you jump in with, oh my God, me too. One time I went...
Wait, because you think you're relating. You think you're bonding by showing you have a shared experience.
It comes from a good place, usually.
Yeah.
But functionally, you are stealing the spotlight.
Yeah.
You are pivoting the camera from them to you. In the 2 a.m. conversation, you need to do the exact opposite. You need to perform a deep listen.
And the guide gives us a very powerful, honestly, somewhat seductive phrase for this. You see right through me.
You see right through me. That feels vulnerable, but in a very cool, collected way.
It does. It's used when the other person guesses something about you. Maybe they say, you seem like the type of person who needs coffee before you can speak.
Right.
Or maybe they notice a subtle mood shift. Instead of just saying yes or over-explaining yourself, you just smirk and say, you see right through me.
Why does that specific phrasing work so much better than just agreeing?
Because it validates their emotional intelligence.
Mm.
Everyone wants to feel perceptive. Everyone wants to feel like they're good at reading people.
That's very true.
When you say that, you are giving them a massive compliment. You're saying, my walls are up, but you specifically managed to see past them.
It makes them feel special, like they have a backstage pass to your psychology.
Exactly. It turns their observation into a profound moment of connection. But then there's the final step, the ultimate command.
The peak of the conversation.
Right. When the conversation gets really deep, people often get scared. They share something real, and then they pause. They feel awkward. They think, did I say too much? Is this boring?
That silence can be excruciating. As the listener, you feel like you urgently need to fill it with a joke or change the subject just to save them from the awkwardness.
And that is the mistake. That is the fixer coming back. The guide says, in that moment, when they pause and look down, you lower your voice to a whisper and say, key chunk number 6, keep talking.
Keep talking. It's imperative. It's a command.
It's not a request, it's a gentle command.
Isn't that a bit bossy? I mean, in a modern context, telling someone to keep talking feels a little dominant.
In a casual chat at a coffee shop, yes, it's bossy. But in the context of the 2 a.m. conversation, it's entirely permissive.
How so?
Vulnerability often feels like shame. We feel naked. By saying keep talking, you are effectively saying, I like what I am hearing. You are safe. Don't stop. You are giving them explicit permission to be emotionally naked with you.
It completely removes the burden of them having to guess if you're interested. It cuts right through the doubt.
It is so powerful. It's taking control of the conversation, not to dominate it, but to hold the space open for them. If we connect this to the bigger picture, all of these phases, anchoring, vulnerability, they are all about safety. Intimacy simply cannot exist without safety.
Now, here's where it gets really interesting for me. The guide doesn't just tell us what to say. It actually breaks down how to say it.
The delivery.
Yes, because you can't just read these lines off a card like a robot. Delivery is 90% of the message here.
Right.
The guide describes 2 specific personas, archetypes really, that illustrate the delivery, the Jack and Luna archetypes. This moves us from linguistics to acoustics.
Because the 2 a.m. conversation completely fails if you deliver these lines with high energy, right? You can't be like, hey, I have a confession, keep talking.
No, that would be terrifying. That's a hostage situation, not a date.
Exactly.
The guide emphasizes a vibe shift. The energy must go from high-tempo banter to a slow fireplace and whiskey tempo.
Let's break down the male archetype they describe, Jack.
So Jack represents the anchor. The guide describes his voice as having a deep baritone with chest resonance. Gritty, but polished. Think of a late-night jazz DJ or a narrator for a luxury watch commercial.
So not shrill, not anxious. It's about grounded range.
The key characteristic for Jack is unhurried. He speaks about 20% slower than normal conversation. He uses authoritative pauses. He isn't rushing to fill the silence because he is totally confident the listener will wait for his next word.
That unhurried quality is so difficult to master. Most of us speak fast because we're afraid of being interrupted. We speed up to hold the floor.
Exactly. Speed betrays anxiety. Slowing down signals status. It signals control. He also uses falling intonation. This is a technical term, but it's vital. At the end of a sentence, his voice goes down, not up.
Right, because upward intonation sounds like a question, like you're seeking approval.
Downward intonation sounds like a statement of fact.
So instead of, I'm on your side, with an upward inflection, which sounds unsure.
It's I'm on your side with a downward tone, grounded, final. It's a statement of reality, not a suggestion.
It lands so much harder. Now, let's look at the counterpart, Luna. She's described as the partner or the muse. How does her delivery differ?
Luna's delivery is described as silky and breathy, a mezzo-soprano tone. The guide actually references an ASMR quality, that whisper-like texture that makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up.
But there's a danger there of just mumbling, isn't there? Or sounding like you're half asleep.
Yes, and this is a crucial distinction, especially for non-native speakers practicing this. The guide notes that while her flow is lazy and connected, her endings are crisp.
Interesting.
She links her sounds for flirtation, but she articulates clearly.
So it's smart but relaxed.
She's intelligent and elusive. Her reaction style isn't a loud, booming laugh. It's a soft chuckle, a hum. It's intimate. It implies that she understands the joke on a level that others might miss.
It sounds like they're creating a soundscape as much as a conversation.
They really are. The environment creates the feeling. If you are using the words of a 2 a.m. conversation but the delivery of a 2 p.m. business meeting, it will fail. The Jack and Luna personas are mental cues to help you shift that gear.
It's almost like acting. You have to embody the character to make the words land. But does that make it fake? I feel like there's a valid criticism here that this is manipulative, like use these lines to make someone trust you.
That is a very valid concern. If you use these as tricks to get something from someone, yes, it's manipulative. But I think it comes down to intent.
Intent.
Think about the fixer trap. That is actually a selfish impulse. We fix things to make ourselves feel useful or to stop our own awkward feelings. The anchor is a selfless impulse. We hold space to make the other person feel safe.
So the phrases are just vehicles for an honest intention.
Exactly. These chunks, whose tires are we slashing, I'm a work in progress, they are tools to help you express an intention you already have. They are shortcuts to showing empathy when your brain is scrambling for the right words.
I really love that perspective. It's about having the tools ready so that when the moment comes, you don't panic and ruin it with logic.
Precisely. Intimacy isn't about how big your vocabulary is. You don't need fancy words. You need absolute presence. You need the courage to sit in the dark with someone and say, I'm here, I'm not going anywhere, keep talking.
That concept of us versus the world really resonates. Whether you're joking about slashing tires or whispering a confession, you're building a little bubble where only the two of you exist.
And that is where the deep bond happens. Not in the fun banter at the bar, but in the quiet safety of the drive home.
So here is a challenge for you listening. Think about your recent conversations. How many times did you try to be the hero? How many times did you try to fix a problem that didn't actually need fixing?
And what would happen if, next time, you just stopped? If you just anchored?
It's a scary thought, letting go of the solution. But maybe that's exactly what makes it so powerful.
Indeed. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply bear witness to someone else's reality without trying to edit it.
We'll leave you with that thought. Don't fix it, just hold it.
Thanks for diving in with us.
Until next time.